What's up, y'all?
Go get them.
It's up.
Are you ready, Graham? Here we go.
Why do we do this? Waking up at 4 a.m., whether behaving like a hormonal teenager, spending hundreds of hours to experience just a few moments. A sport where anticipation and failure are occasionally interrupted by success. Why do we do it? A lot of people ask that, which shouldn't be surprising. In the grand scheme of things, our tribe is small. 11 million saltwater anglers in a nation of 320 million. So yeah, there's a lot of explaining to do. So the next time a wife, an in-law, a coworker asks, show them the next 21 minutes and 14 seconds. This is why you do it. Fishing started as a means to an end. It was strictly about survival. It has since shifted from sustenance to sport. No longer a primal instinct, but a choice. In an era where there are a million attractions and distractions, our fix is this. It's not a religion, but it checks a lot of the same boxes. Sanctuary. Hallelujah moments.
Fishing, baby!
Community.
You're doing what those before us did. In each fishing community, there's still a deep connection with those long before us.
Sure, it's a sport, and sports require practice.
That's a big shark.
But there's no proxy for actually being there with the people and doing it.
So you find them all, you find none of them kind of deal, you know?
We're looking for the mother load.
We're looking for the mother load.
And the locals? They are the coaches.
Your main thing with rigging these baits is you try and keep them somewhat streamlined, so we're going to sew them closed, drop into 1,800 feet of water, rig a bait that is not going to spin. You know, the depths of water that they can go to, you know, to be able to swim from the bottom in 2,000 feet of water and jump, and then just go right back down to the bottom, you know, just an incredible fish.
It's a hard sport to start with. You gotta practice your cast. It all depends on what fish you want to target. It takes a lot of practice because it took me a long while to get really good on the fly rod, right?
When you throw a shot and that you're watching, that you see that nothing is going on, you gotta bring it back to the walk in.
You see him coming across there at 2 o'clock, just swimming to the right.
This whole coastline here is full of jetties and breachways and rips. And we're gonna check each jetty, each riptide along the way.
It's right here. There's 2 of them right here.
Watching this show or reading a magazine, it's a quick hit, but not a replacement.
They're on. Guys.
Fish slime on your hands, wrist and shoulders on fire. Applying the captain's instruction in the middle of the fight. That's where you become baptized. A new member of the congregation.
There you go, buddy.
Good job.
It's remarkable how many bloodlines are tethered to the water. After all, there's only one tree that grows in the ocean, the family tree. 14,000 miles traveled in 10 months. 4 states, 3 countries, 22 species. Bluefin in Boston, permit in Belize, marlin in Panama.
Oh, I love blue marlin fishing.
That answers what we fish, but the bigger question remains. Why we fish? Well, because we were born into it. It was handed to us as kids like an heirloom. For Captain Jared Sear, it's a livelihood that's 4 generations old.
My family's been fishing here since like the late 1880s. You know, everything from commercial fishing to charter fishing starting in like the 40s. I got lucky my dad's done it, and you know, my brother and I got into it. I've had a boat since I was like 8 years old, so like, you know, me and my buddies, instead of riding bikes back and forth to each other's houses, it was, you know, taking our little dinghies back and forth. And we get to do some cool stuff. I'm pretty fortunate.
For Captain Wes Bedell, fishing turns a passion into a legacy.
With Junior, I've been training him for a long time. He just doesn't know it yet. You know, I've been fine-tuning him, and he's almost ready to kick the bull by the horns, and he's going to be getting his captain's license next year. And he's well-seasoned, and he knows what to do, and he's been doing it with me since he could walk. So he's caught more fish than most of my clients.
Give me a barracuda.
And sometimes, fishing is the family's livelihood.
We have always been very, very passionate about it. We're a family-run lodge by fishermen, for fishermen. We all want our kids and our grandkids to be able to catch the fish that we get to catch.
We all came because of Lupe. She's my aunt. When I came, I brought Isa, who is my brother, and then Isa brought my uncle, which is Tomas. And then we have Byron. He brought his wife. Then he has his brother, Sian, and then his brother, Emir. I would say that's all about everyone who is family relative here. Yes.
Nothing has contributed to friendship more than the water. It's created new ones and fortified old ones. What's better than sharing the wild? The epic highs and brutal lows galvanize that connection.
Take a buddy fishing, folks. This is what happens.
No one bonds because everything went just fine.
Damn it.
Friends come in handy, especially when you're in the really deep end of the pool.
When you bring 2 boats and 9 people, you bring so much stuff, it's insane.
My problem becomes our problem. Crappy weather, nothing biting. What are we gonna do about it, friendo?
The spaghetti models say all track lines intersect over the keys. If it turns into a hurricane, we should probably be prepared. If it doesn't turn into a hurricane, that just means we're having a party.
That'll wake you up. There'll be bruises from this one. You see him out there? The reel's actually hot.
Woo! Tied into a little blue. Beautiful eat.
Was not expecting
not
expecting that, but that'll work.
Overcoming those obstacles makes sharing the spoils at day's end even better. You've boated the trophy, checked off another species off the list, put dinner in the fish box. Now, the pendulum must swing back the other way, from taking to giving. What are we doing for conservation? With rewards comes responsibility. As a sport that relies on Earth's natural resources, conservation is paramount. Changes to climate, water quality, and fish populations demands not only attention, but action. An expiration date can't be moved. Conservation started with organizations like the International Game Fish Association, which was founded in 1939. They disseminated information and best practices down to the captains. Now, a lot of research and discovery is coming from the captains, the message working its way up the chain. They need to participate. Their livelihood is at stake.
I'm pin clipping them for BTT. It's a genetic study that they're doing. It doesn't harm the fish at all, and you just take a little bit of their fin there, like about a 1/4 inch, and that grows back just like your fingernail. We're trying to figure out where our bonefish come from, so whether they come from here or the Bahamas or Mexico. So everybody's fin clipping all over the Caribbean. Curious to see how the project turns out.
I heard these stories about the good old days. Well, I don't want the good old days to be the same for my kids. I tell them about all these giant fish and they don't get to catch them. So my whole thing is catch and release. It's about respect. Respect the ocean, respect the fish that we're catching, and have respect for the future generation.
Marine science has made huge leaps in its understanding of fisheries management and the health of the underwater environment.
What we're trying to do is manage fish populations along the eastern seaboard at sustainable levels so that we provide ample opportunities for both recreational and commercial fishermen, while, preserving a healthy biomass.
We are actually upstream of the rest of the Florida Keys and the rest of Florida. So any fish that reproduce here, when they spawn, that fish spawn, and the coral spawn, everything here, it floats at the surface with these currents, some of them subsurface, and they'll drift to the rest of the Florida Keys and both coasts of Florida. If we have really healthy reefs here, if we have really healthy fish here, it makes the rest of Florida healthy as well.
This is the poster child for conservation and protection. Unbelievable beauty. Infinite discovery. And the best part? No invitation required. All you have to do is show up and let nature do its thing. It's been said that we know more about space than we do about the ocean. It's a world that mankind doesn't belong to. It wasn't made for us. It might as well be another planet. Nature always travels with a healthy dose of weather. But when the storms pass and the wind lies down, it's go time. Cameras, underwater housings, drones, microphones, memory cards, a truckload of equipment for every shoot. And that doesn't even include the variety of fishing gear that's needed. Boats. A lot of boats. Big boats, bay boats, skiffs, an array of options from Yellowfin. Mercury's outboards powered us on high-speed runs through skinny flats and 8-foot rollers. Spinning, jigging, trolling. PENN's fishing tackle has 85 years of history and expertise behind it. Thanks to YETI's cups and coolers, the coffee stayed hot, the rum stayed cold, and the day's catch stayed fresh. Navigation, plotting positions and waypoints, boat-to-boat chatter. SIMRAD electronics never let us down. No one watches fishing shows to see broken lines. Spider Wire's braid, fluoro, and mono get it done. Costa sunglasses have heavy-duty polarized lenses for optimal clarity during long days in the sun. Pick a mount, any mount. King Sailfish release mounts can create one for any and every species. The only thing less cooperative than the fish was the weather. This season, we called ourselves storm fishing television. Hurricanes, cold fronts, heat waves, cold fronts, torrential downpours, and more cold fronts. It found us at every port of call. But what kind of show would it be if the unexpected was edited out to fit a nice, tidy storyline? That would be reality TV.
Got me a big old redfish on.
Why do we fish?
Oh, there you go.
This.
Something big.
When you start fishing, every species is a surprise. Their appetites, their personality quirks, their behavior on the line, it's all new. But as you learn more and catch more, the number of new targets shrinks.
How many have you caught of these?
Thousands. Thousands and thousands and thousands.
So now it's a mission. Checking off game fish, moving up the food chain, traveling farther, trying harder. You'll find yourself taking drastic measures in places you probably shouldn't, just to catch a fish.
I got my shorts on. Now we're talking. Look at that guy. Good job, buddy.
Right now, little twitches. Twitch, twitch, twitch.
Yeah, hit him. Good job.
It's a nice Florida-based snook.
That's your bread and butter right there.
Perfect.
Got a red snapper. Yeah, bud.
Yeah, baby. This is the best side of fishing when you get to sit down, have a beer, and watch someone who's always wanted to catch one be like, oh, I got it. What do I do now? What do I do?
Pitch on, pitch on. Cute little fella.
Pick up that rod, pick up the rod, pick up the rod. Easy, neutral.
Hands, watch your hands. We got it.
This fish hates you, Richard. A lot. Like ready hates me.
Sure, there are losses and failures, but what comes after? Optimism.
I've done some amazing things, and this is one of them, you know? I mean, people are always worried about catching. Sometimes it's just about the adventure.
There's always a next time. If the chase is over, it's because you made that choice.
It's the hunt and the chase of not knowing what you're going to get that day. How can I adapt? What can I do different? What can make me better? How can I learn from my mistakes? You never know what's on the end of that line.
Why do we do it? Because when you're in it, suddenly an endless sea becomes the size of a kiddie pool. It's just you, a guide, and a shared goal: to find the fish before it finds you. Each one must be spotted, stalked, fooled, and fought, one at a time. The last one you hooked scarcely matters any longer. The next one isn't even a consideration. There is only this one right now. And until the fight is done, the rest of the world will just have to do without you.
You know, you're sitting there watching the fire burn, having a cocktail on the back deck of a boat in the middle of nowhere.
It's kind of like being almost like going to the hunting camp.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a one giant big ass hunting camp.
Yeah, that's what it is, you know, one giant hunting camp.
So the question isn't why do we do this? The question is, why wouldn't we?